Spirit to guide us right.
Today is the 16th of Elul, which means we've just crossed the halfway point. We've just seen the full moon rise in the sky. And I'm curious to know, halfway through Elul, how is your preparation going? So I want to return back to the shofar itself. For those of us who will be in synagogue, or perhaps with Wilderness Torah on the farm for our Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah retreats, where we blow on Rosh Hashanah, or perhaps at a special gathering of any kind, I want to invite you to a deeper connection with the energetics of the shofar. During Rosh Hashanah and during Elul, you hear three blasts, three kinds of blasts, or perhaps four. You hear the tekiah, one single solid blast. The tekiah is the sounding. Tekiah connotes wholeness. There is a unbrokenness in the tekiah. It comes first, because as some of our teachers have already taught us these weeks, we are already whole. The tekiah reminds us of our wholeness, of the peace that we already are. And yet, we have many challenges that we encounter throughout life. And so sometimes we forget that wholeness. Sometimes that wholeness feels very far away. Wholeness within ourselves or in our relationships, wherever they take us. The second blast we hear on Rosh Hashanah is the three-tone blast called shvarim. I'm just wondering, when I make the shvarim, what does it feel to you? Shvarim means broken or brokenness or breaking. The shvarim is a sound to break things up. Sometimes we're stuck. Sometimes we're stuck in an old pattern. And then the truah, the next blast, the 9 staccato blast, it means call. It means call. Calling us. What is the shofar calling you to? Then we do the tekiah gedolah, the great tekiah, the great sound of wholeness. So this is how we finish. Not just remembering us of our wholeness, but to embody that wholeness. And so I will now sound tekiah gedolah. I invite you to receive in the way that feels good for you this morning. And I bless us all, this Elul, this Rosh Hashanah, and through the Yamim Noraim, the days of to Yom Kippur, may the walls fall, the walls of our hearts that are blocking us, the walls that prevent us from our wholeness in our relationships. May those walls come down wherever you are honoring and celebrating this time of Elul and Tishrei. And with that, I wish you a Shana Tova Metuka, a sweet year, a sweet new year.
The big thing that's happening at the end of this month is the end of a 7-year cycle. Probably some of you have heard of this. It's the end of the Shemitah year. For those of you who don't know, Shemitah is a really radical and very exciting, it's one of my favorite pieces of Jewish wisdom, and it's Shabbat for the earth. So it's the sabbatical principles applied to land. And what happens is every 7 years, the land lies fallow, all land becomes communal, and all debts are released. So it's this great equalizing force, this great rewilding force. It's a time when humans creative potential is checked, and we remember the earth's wisdom. Because what's about to happen is on Rosh Hashanah, when Rosh Hashanah comes at the end of this month, we start year one. We start essentially the Sunday of years. It becomes the beginning of the next cycle of them. And it's actually at this very moment in time where the design starts. Because in order to unlock the potential of the Shemitah year and to unlock abundance that the Shemitah principles provide for us, we actually have to design them into our lives. They need to be baked into how we're living and what choices we're making. So here's a little mind map of Shemitah design principles. These are like shorthand ideas that encapsulate some of the Jewish laws that are involved in the Shemitah year. So there's things like rewild, reset, eat seasonally, let nature's design unfold uninterrupted, do something else professionally, share, release control, only take what you need. What I want you to think about is take the design principle that sparked some curiosity in you, and here's the prompt. If you could magically wave a wand and this design principle somehow in 7 years was baked into your life, what would that mean for your life? What was unlocked for you in doing this exercise?
People often think that the shofar is only blown on Rosh Hashanah. Anyone watching this series knows that it is our people's tradition to blow the shofar every day throughout the month of Elul, preceding the welcoming of the new year. Our sages understood that this magnitude of spiritual awakening needs time and preparation. Our rabbis teach us that the sounds of the shofar are meant to remind us of the very story of our lives. The first sound is tekiah. A loud, strong, vibrant, confident sound that represents our childhood. A child can play for hours, gleefully laughing, giggling, full of life, without a care or worry in the world. What is more beautiful than watching a small child at play? Shvarim is the 3 broken sounds. Suddenly, we begin to realize as we grow up that life is more complicated than we imagined. There are obstacles, there are challenges, there are people that let us down. We have experiences of brokenness, broken moments. And then there's the sound of the truah. It's almost like the shattering of sound itself. And the truah represents the moments in life when it feels like the world around us is falling apart. Sometimes when we feel ourselves in the midst of truah, we might begin to lose hope. Wonder, how can we persevere? Then we finish with Tekiah Gedolah. this loud, powerfully confident sound is louder and held longer than the first Kia. So, my friends, the message through this midrash, the message of the shofar is that despite the brokenness we may encounter in life, through all of our stages of development, we have the ability to pick up the pieces and do the repair work, the teshuvah that is necessary to renew our lives.
Checking in, tuning into our hearts before we make a little journey to the ancestral realm to find the Avot and Imahot, the ancestors who are available to us in Elul, available to us this morning. Each one of us obviously will be receiving a different answer. But you might just touch yourself at your heart for a moment, just touch the mezuzah of your heart, blessing yourself, kissing the mezuzah of this beautiful gateway. And standing on the inside of that doorway, on the inside of that doorway, there are columns or hallways of ancestors who, and many, we only have time to make a call right now and invite in a wise and well teacher or a wise and well Bubby or Zadie, someone who you knew from your own bloodline, someone who knows you, perhaps your namesake, perhaps a relative, perhaps a rebbe or a teacher or a friend. If somebody is appearing to you, just feel their energy, feel their warmth, feel their love. Feel their availability, because this is the 19th of Elul. We're approaching now. We're approaching the great portal of high holidays of the new year, where there's so much Shakti, there's so much Kedusha in the air. And pose anything in your heart now, just anything, any question, any problem, any issue that you want help untangling. A tzrura, a knot that you're carrying for your family or your community or for your own self. It might be about anything, health, parnasa, anything that you, relationship, or just an internal faith issue. Pose that issue, pose that knot. Open your heart and say, here is my tzrura. Can you help me?
And recovery, as I have come to understand it, gives us some tools and some strategies to allow us to overcome the wounds that we carry and all of the unhealthy solutions to the pain that we learned at a younger age and invites us to find community and surround ourselves with support and healing and connection. And we talk a lot about teshuvah and returning to our best selves this time of year. And recovery is a process by which we get to make teshuvah to others, and then also learn techniques to live teshuvah every single day of our lives, right? But the 12 steps do say, step 8 is made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. And step 9 says, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. And I hope that for all of us, this high holiday season allows us to lay some of our schmutz down, because it is not really serving us anymore. When you throw your sins into the water, some of them still stay behind. It's not enough to just metaphorically throw them out. We have to actually do the hard work to address them. And many of us, myself included, spend years and years and years bemoaning, "Oy to the vey, why do I have so much tsuris in my life? And why is there so much work to do?" And we look for so many ways to distract ourselves from being alone with ourselves and the work that we have to do. And I will never forget, one of the smartest things I learned from my grandfather is, without saying a word, he just put his hand out in front of him. And if I was too far to the left, he'd just go like that. And if I was too far to the right, he'd just go like that. And I was able to follow his instructions to get us safely to the airport. So I want to invite all of us to think about, where are we this time of year? And who are we this time of year? And to remember that so many people have been able to make positive changes in their lives. It is never too late to engage in the act of teshuvah. How do you know when you've made teshuvah? When you find yourself in the same situation as you previously were, and you make a better decision that allows you to stay true to your values and not go down the same rabbit hole that you went down before.